It's my pleasure to be able to introduce to you our speaker, Tracey Delfs, who Tracey and I met 10 years ago when we were working together on Healthy Canmore Association. I loved listening to her then, and I'm not surprised at all that now that she's followed her true love to Calgary and started her very own successful business called balancequest.com. Tracey will speak to us about stress in the moment, and she will give us some support and tips about getting through our journey with the COVID virus, which I know we would all be very appreciative of. Tracey is a life coach. She talks in mental wellness workshops. She talks for the average person and for some very powerful groups and people with tremendous success. So Tracey, welcome, and we're looking very forward to all the support you're going to give us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm grateful to be here and to share my passion in life, which is really to teach people how to live more in the present moment and to find more joy in the present moment. And I've been on this journey over the last couple of decades, working with people like you and various populations, whether it's the children or Olympic athletes, a lot of corporate Calgary, stuff like that. So I love the diversity of whom I get to teach, but really the core of what I teach is the same with all those different populations. And for today's session, we're going to be focusing, like Cathy was saying, on this idea of learning some techniques to help manage our stress in the moment. And I'm really going to make today about a practice instead of me just standing here telling you a bunch of things that you can do. We're actually going to get to experience some of these practices today. So I encourage you just to come with an open mind and an open heart and just to be able to drop into this. I like the analogy of, you don't really know what the ocean is like unless you go and you swim in the ocean. So you could read every book in the world about what the ocean is like and what it sounds like and what it feels like when you're in the water, what the salt tastes like. But once you go in the ocean, if you were in the ocean for just a couple minutes, then like, oh, that's what the ocean is like. And that's the same with a number of these stress management techniques. Until you actually experience them yourself and until you actually start to practice them and bring them into your life, then you don't really know like how that shift feels in your body. So with stress, one thing I want to talk about initially with stress is sometimes it's just our perception around stress. So stress is given a really bad rap a lot of the time. But, stress is a good thing. Stress is what actually gets us out of the bed in the morning and, to clean our house and to do tasks and all these different things. If we didn't have any stress, we wouldn't do anything. So definitely a certain amount of stress in our life is actually a good thing. And even sometimes when we feel that high level of stress, where we actually start to feel it physiologically in our body, where our heart rate's going up and respiratory rate's going up, and we can feel, just our body's ready to take action. Sometimes it's our perception of that. So say, for example, when I've been working with athletes over the years, you can have two athletes at the beginning of a race or an event, and one person, their perception is, this is really stressful and I'm gonna have to do really good and I have to perform. And their body's having that high stress reaction where they feel a lot of anxiety in their body. And then you have the person right beside them where their body's having the very same physiological response, heart rate up, respiratory rate up, but they're feeling excited. They're like, I can't wait to the gun goes and then they get to start this race or I get to go down this ski slope or whatever event it is. They're feeling this genuine excitement versus the anxiety. So sometimes when we think about stress, sometimes maybe we can think about how can I just do a perspective shift in my mind to change my attitude instead of feeling stressed and anxious to feeling excited. So for example, I've been doing a ton of online presentations over the last couple of months to a lot of companies and 200 people on a Zoom call and stuff. And I always feel every time before I go live, my heart rate up, my respiratory rate up, and sometimes I'll be feeling, oh, I'm feeling kind of nervous, but I'll do that conscious shift to, oh, I'm excited. I get to go live and I get to share what I love and, you know, maybe have a positive impact on people. And so just that little attitude shift in our minds can change our whole reality. So that's something I would challenge you with when we leave this call and you're moving into your days. When you notice that you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm feeling really anxious right now, or I'm feeling really stressed right now, just ask yourself, could I take a different attitude or perspective to this? Could I shift this stress to feeling excited, excited about the unknown, excited about the possibilities? And that alone can change your whole reality. So there's this idea that our mind creates our world. So really start to observe what reality is your mind creating. And that's a lot of what mindfulness is about. Mindfulness is really about starting to become more aware of what's happening in your mind, what's happening with your emotions, what's happening with your body, and in the world around you without judgment. So not judging that, just noticing. But when you actually notice what's going on, for example, in your mind, then you can start to make conscious choices about what path do you want to keep continuing on. So very powerful. And mindfulness is actually quite easy. It's about just dropping into the present moment and being fully aware of what's happening in that moment. But the reality is we could go through our whole day and, you know, just be in our heads worrying about something in the past or something that might happen in the future, and forget to drop in and actually be fully present with whatever experience is happening. So for example, we're eating our meal, but at the same time we're watching the news. So we're not really being present and mindful of our food and enjoying and savoring our food because we're watching the news. And our mind can't do two things at the same time. So, you know, one way to start to decrease the stress in your life is to come back to the present moment. And one of the best ways to do that is to stop the multitasking and to really start to get fully present with whatever you're doing in that moment. There's this story, someone had asked the Zen master, what do you and your practitioners do? And he said, we sit, we eat, and we work. And the questioner said, but everybody sits, eats, and works. And he said, the difference is that when we're sitting, we know that we're sitting. And when we're eating, we know that we're eating. And when we're working, we know that we're working. So this is another, you know, wonderful way to start to drop into the moment, is just to become fully aware of what's happening right here, right now. And one of the best ways to do that is to become aware of your senses. And this is a really good tool if you start to feel any anxiety coming up within your system, is just to stop, to take a couple of deep breaths, and then just to go through your senses. So I'd like you just to practice this right now. So just close your eyes for a moment. And I'd like you just to notice, what do you hear right now? And what's interesting for myself is, even though I'm living in the city, I actually hear just silence right now. And now notice what you feel. What's the temperature of the room? What sensations do you notice with your body? And then when I tell you to open up your eyes, I'd like you to look around your room and just notice and actually label 5 things that you see right now. So just by going through our senses, it's a way to get super present in this moment. So the word mindfulness doesn't actually exist on its own. You're always mindful of something. So when we went through that exercise, we were either mindful of what we were hearing, what we were feeling, or what we were seeing. And this exercise in a room isn't nearly as exciting as if you were to take it out into nature. So this is a powerful way to get super present, is just to even look outside, or even better, step outside, or even better than that is to go for a mindful walk. And when you're outside, then try this exercise. And it's going to be a lot more interesting than in your space right now. But as soon as you step outside and you just ask yourself, you know, what do I hear right now? What do I hear far away, close by? You'll hear, you know, some traffic in the distance, maybe some birds, maybe some dogs barking. If you're out in nature, you'll hear even more of those wonderful nature sounds, like the river going by. All of those things will really help bring you to the moment. What do I see? What do I see far away? I see the clouds in the sky. I see the way the light's shining on the mountains. If you're in the mountains, you know, you see the little green buds starting to come out on the trees. So again, a beautiful way to bring yourself back into the moment. And the more you can start to bring those senses into your life, the more present you will become. So definitely during this COVID time, and when I've been working with the different organizations I've been doing weekly presentations to, etc., I really encourage people to get outside. I'm the big believer, if you're only to do one thing out of anything I teach you today, it's to spend more time in nature. And not only to spend time in nature, but to bring more of that presence into your experience in nature. So instead of going outside with your headphone on and listening to your new favorite podcast, I mean, you can do some walks or runs like that, but it also really encourages you to do some where you actually make it more of that mindful walk or mindful bike ride or run, where you really become aware of what am I feeling in my body, what's happening in the world around me, and start to feel that connection to nature. And I can almost guarantee you that you are going to feel better when you come back in than when you left the house. So if you feel that anxiety coming up, or you're starting to feel that sense of grumpiness or some anger coming up, that would be a perfect time to just say, I'm going to hit the pause button on whatever I'm doing in this moment, and I'm going to go outside and then come back in. So definitely nature is one of, you know, the most powerful things that you can continue to do. And I know a lot of you are living in Canmore, so it's pretty easy to get out there. And now all those long weekend people, Calgary people are gone, so you can have the mountains back to yourself again. So you can be grateful for that. No one put that in the feed, I'm surprised. So one thing too is Banff is open right now. So if you're tired of the crowds in Canmore, you go to Banff. So yeah, so that's pretty special for sure. But definitely nature's powerful, coming back to your senses, and then just the power of the breath. So that's another really a really good way to bring yourself back to the present moment, is by becoming aware of your breath. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to guide you through a meditation, which is initially a mindfulness practice, which is a body scan, where we're going to go through and just become aware of our body and notice our body and how it's feeling. And then I'm going to take you into a heart math meditation. So I know a lot of you are familiar with heart math, and for some of you it will be new, but the Heart Math Institute has been around for over 25 years, researching stress and the impact on our physiology. I'm a certified heart math coach and trainer. I've been down to the Heart Math Institute in California a couple of times for my trainings. And I really love the heart math techniques, because it's not only about focusing on the breathing, but it's about starting to bring more positive emotions into the breath along, instead of just focusing on the breathing. And I'm a big believer in these techniques, because years ago when I started to do my heart math training, they sent me biofeedback equipment, and I told the coach that I was working with that my equipment was broken because I couldn't get out of the red, which is stress, into the blue or green, which meant my body was in a relaxed state. And she said, well, and then she asked me, oops, what was that? I'm sorry, I have a new computer. My apologies about that, so I didn't know that was still on there. Now I went into stress with that. If you saw me, if I was hooked up to equipment, I would be in the red right now for sure. That's awesome. So she said to me, have you ever gone through a really stressful time in your life? And I said, yes, but it was 7 years ago. I'm totally over that. And she said, I don't think your body's over it. Because I said to her, I meditate, I do yoga every day, so your equipment's broken. But she said, just keep practicing the technique. So what I started to do is just bring these positive emotions into my breathing techniques, and my physiology totally changed. All of a sudden, within a couple of days, my equipment was going into the green instead of being in the red all the time. So I know for a fact for myself, and also for many, many people that I've done heart maths with over the years and hooked them up with the biofeedback equipment that measures the heart rate variability rhythm, that definitely bringing positive emotions into your life and into your meditations really helps to shift the physiology even more, for sure. So I really encourage you to start to do that within your meditations. And also during this COVID time, to really think about what are things that bring you joy? What are things that, allow you to shift into a place of feeling more fun and lightness and laughter? What are things that bring you more peace and calm and ease? And starting to consciously choose things throughout your day that will bring more of those heartfelt positive emotions into your life. And to also think about what are some negative things that I'm exposing myself to, that are maybe having the opposite effect on your physiology and your well-being. So for example, watching too much news definitely will shift us into an incoherent state within our mind, get our heart rate variability rhythm all over the place and chaotic. So really, checking in and going, how much news do I actually need to be exposing myself to? And again, during this COVID time, I've seen with a lot of my individual clients that when they started to decrease the amount of news that they were exposing themselves to and social media, so when they took it from here down to here, their levels of happiness and contentment and calm really started to increase. So it's another challenge for me towards you is to really limit your exposure to news. I really encourage you not to watch the news before you go to bed. If you do that, it's just going to pump up your cortisol levels, which is going to impact your hormones for sleeping as well. And starting off your day with the news is going to start off your day in this mindset of the world is horrible out there. And so do we really want to start off our days on that note? Or could we do things in the morning to start off our day with more of those positive emotions? Maybe starting off with a gratitude journal, or right away when you wake up in your bed in the morning, you see, so even if your eyes are closed, just to be grateful that you woke up. That's something to be grateful for, and grateful for your bed and your home and the people or the animals in your space, or your friends and family that aren't even there, but just thinking about them brings that feeling of joy into your heart. To be grateful that we have electricity and running water. I grew up on a farm in northern Alberta where we didn't have running water until I was 7, so I never take running water for granted. So again, just if we can start to move through our days with more of the sense of gratitude and appreciation, it will really help to shift our mental state and help to decrease anxiety and stress and increase those positive experiences and our positive well-being in our mind. So very powerful. And the HeartMath Institute has found that the 3 strongest emotions that will help to change our physiology into more balanced state, getting our autonomic nervous system into balance, are gratitude, appreciation, and compassion. So I talked about the gratitude and the appreciation a bit, but compassion will really help to shift you. So I will also talk about, as we go through this today, and I'm going to add it into the meditation, a meditation called the loving kindness meditation, otherwise known as the metta meditation. It's been around for thousands of years, and it really will help to shift people into more of that positive mindset and help to get them more into their hearts instead of their heads. My husband and I, we actually both have the biofeedback equipment when we're meditating in the morning, the heart math equipment. And I know meditation shouldn't be a competitive sport, but we actually compete to see who can get the highest level of coherence. And if I peek over and I see that he's beating me, then I start doing the loving kindness meditation, and then I'll always beat him. So I know it shouldn't be competitive, but there's a little secret there. The loving kindness meditation is super powerful for sure. And just while I'm thinking about that, before we actually go into the meditation, if you go to my website, which is balancequest.com, then you can download my free guided meditations. And one of my 5-minute meditations is a loving kindness meditation. And I have another 5-minute meditation that's a gratitude meditation. So if you want to just learn a bit more about how you can bring some of these positive emotions into your meditations, you can do that. And if you are interested in loving kindness, one of my favorite authors that I've been able to study with in the past is Sharon Salzberg. And in my mind, she's kind of the guru out there of the loving kindness meditation. So she's amazing for sure. So if you resonate with that one, there's a couple of other tools that you can use to check that out. So what I'm going to get you to do now is, actually, I'm just going to show you. Is I'd like you just to bring your hand to your heart. And actually, before we do that, I wanted to just show you here. This is from the Heart Math Institute. Oh, upside down.
There you go.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for the cues. I appreciate it. That's so funny. So you can see here, so this says frustration. And that's what your heart rate variability rhythm looks like when you're in any negative or depleting emotions, such as anxiety, fear, anger, or frustration. It basically looks like the Rocky Mountains. But if you shift into positive emotions, such as appreciation, gratitude, the compassion, joy, calm, this is what it will look like. And whatever's happening with your heart rate variability rhythm totally impacts your brain. Through the vagus nerve, you have the messages going back and forth between your heart and your brain, and the majority of those are actually going from your heart to the brain. And so if your heart rate variability rhythm is really chaotic, then we turn off the prefrontal cortex part of our brain where we can't think clearly anymore, make good decisions, and feel like we're in a bit of a fog, and we're going more from that amygdala, that fight or flight part of our brain. But as soon as we start focusing on the breath and start to bring in those positive emotions, then we shift into that nice sine wave-like pattern and into that coherent state. So one thing I'm finding right now with the COVID thing is initially people were super stressed, super anxious, a lot of fear, worry of the unknown stuff coming up. But now people are kind of shifting a bit more into that place of feeling unmotivated, feeling like they can't focus, be productive. And that's definitely not everybody, but that's a number of people that I've been working with. So if you're feeling like you're in that place of not being able to focus or be productive, then I really encourage you to try these techniques and just see if you can start to get more into that coherent state and really turn on that thinking part of your mind. So a little productivity tip there for you. Okay, so let's sit nice and tall with our hearts open, and actually initially just rest your hands on your lap, and then we'll bring our hands to our heart in a while. And let's just take a deep, deep breath all the way in through our nose. And then a big exhale, all the way out. Another deep, deep inhale. And exhale all the way out. And then just allow a nice natural breath to flow in through your nose and fill your lungs. And then flow out through your nose, through your mouth. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. And just continuing with your breath. Knowing that as soon as we become aware of our breath, that we bring our mind back to the moment. We bring our mind back to our body. So often our body's here, but our mind is somewhere else, into the future, and anxiety and unknown of the future, or would have, could have, should have, regret of the past. So instead, let's settle with our breath into this moment, knowing and trusting that in this moment we can handle anything that's going on in our life. So finding the strength, finding the peace in this moment. Now let's start to become aware of the mindfulness of our body. Can you feel the weight of your hips onto your chair? Bringing your awareness down your legs, can you feel your feet onto the ground? What sensations do you notice with your feet or with your toes? And now let's start to bring our awareness back up our legs to the weight of the hips once again. And now start to scan up your back. Almost like an MRI going up your back, and just notice any sensations anywhere in your back, in your shoulders, your neck. If you feel any tension anywhere, discomfort, imagine breathing into the area, creating space. And as you exhale, allow that tension to let go. And now bring your awareness down your arms to the weight of your hands in your lap. Noticing any sensations with your hands, your fingers. So you exhale, relax your hands and your fingers. And I'd like you to become aware of your face and just notice if you're clenching your jaw or if there's any tension anywhere in your jaw. And if so, I'd like you just to open your mouth slightly or to smile. Just a gentle smile. When we smile, it's like doing yoga for our face, and it relaxes. Breathing in, I'm aware of my entire body. Breathing out, I relax my body. And now I'd like you to, if you feel comfortable with this, bring your hand to your heart, or just bring your awareness to your heart. As we shift to the body scan to a heart math technique called heart focused breathing. So with your hand on your heart, and now I'd like you just to feel this connection to your heart. Feeling this sense of gratitude for your heart and for everything it does for you each and every day. And now imagine that your breath is flowing in through the area of your heart and out through the area of your heart. Breathing a bit deeper, a bit slower than you normally would. Again, we know that the breath is going through our lungs when we do this, but by bringing awareness to our heart, it gets us to breathe into that deeper part of our lungs and just to feel a bit more connected to our heart and out of our head. So maybe you're breathing in for about a count of 5 and out for about a count of 5. I'd like you to breathe a feeling of peace into the area of your heart. And breathe out a feeling of gratitude. Peace, gratitude. Peace in our minds, our body, peace in our life. Gratitude for this breath, for this moment, for this day. And just noticing, becoming mindful of how you're feeling right now. With your mind, your emotions, and your body. Now we're going to shift into a very short version of the loving kindness meditation. We're going to do one round, one very short round just towards ourselves, and then another one to each other and to the world around us. So as I say these words, really feel these words resonating into your heart, these feelings. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well physically, mentally, and emotionally. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I feel safe and secure. May I be happy. And now I'd like you to envision these feelings radiating from your heart, just like a pebble that's dropped into water as the ripple goes out. To everyone in this call that's here live or listening to it virtually or the replays. And to all beings everywhere on this beautiful planet that we live on. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well physically, mentally, and emotionally. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you feel safe and secure. May you be happy. Just breathing to the heart space area. Once again, just noticing how you're feeling. And knowing that this loving kindness meditation is very powerful to dedicate to those people that we can't be with. People that may be in extended care, the hospital, or at other places around the world that we can't hop on a plane and go see right now. Knowing that when we connect with our hearts and through the power of intention and prayer, we can dedicate these words to those people that we love and care about. Just take a deep breath all the way in and exhale all the way out. And then when you're ready, you can open up your eyes. So that was a long meditation, but we did a number of different meditations within that one. So we did the body scan, which is a mindfulness practice of becoming aware of our body. Then we did the heart focused breathing from the Heart Math Institute and included into that those feelings of peace and gratitude. And then we went into the loving kindness meditation. So if you're doing these on your own for just those quick moments throughout the day to decrease your stress, to get more centered, more balanced, to shift your emotional state, you could just do one of those. So just pick the one that resonates most for you in that moment. And sometimes we won't even have enough time to do, a few minutes of meditation. So instead, any 3 mindful breaths will bring you back to the moment and help to calm down your nervous system. So it's just something to remember as you move through your day. If you're starting to feel that stress level come up a bit, just remember the power of those 3 breaths to really ground you back into the now. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open it up to anyone in the group that has any questions